Welcome to this Planning Quality Framework screencast. The Quality Framework allows councils to benchmark their performance against each other using applications data. Applications data is notoriously difficult to compare because councils all have different names and different codes for the same information within their management systems. The Planning Quality Framework takes all of the different labels that councils use and turns them into a standard set of labels so that we can create a set of comparable reports. This screencast explains how to do that quickly. Once you've submitted your data to the Planning Quality Framework, you'll get an email thanking you for your submission. Open the email and you'll see the confirmation message that your data has been safely received. It'll also indicate how much of your data has been able to match to the standard set of framework labels. Now, the first time that you submit data, the framework is not going to be able to match many because it doesn't know any of your details at this point. So you can see that 0% of this data has been matched. The email also contains a copy of your processed data. So you need to open up the spreadsheet and that will allow you to make the changes to the labels. So when your spreadsheet opens up, it will show you the processed applications data. And the first thing you need to do is go to the lookups worksheet, because that will be where we will make all the changes to our own labels to the standard framework labels. Now, first of all, I'm just going to open up the columns a little bit so I can see all of the information clearly. Now, these are the field names of the data that we need to change. And the way that a lookup works in the framework is that it looks for this data column in the main spreadsheet here. It then checks in your data for the label that you have used. So these are all the labels that have been used for this data set. It then looks to this column here, the system value, for the standard framework label. Now, as you can see, there aren't any standard framework labels in this set of data, so it's all labelled as missing. So our job is to create a standard framework label in this column next to each of these for the whole set of data. Then next time the spreadsheet is submitted, the framework will be able to read all of those labels and allocate a standard framework label to them. So this may look like quite a long list. It is quite a long list, but what we can do is a quick trick to make this job a lot simpler. So first of all, we go to this master lookups worksheet. And once again, first of all, we'll just open up some of the columns so we can read all of the information. And what I'm going to do is create a series of drop-down menus based on this information here, the standard framework labels, so that we can quickly allocate these into the lookups table so that the full set of data can be read in to the framework report system. So the first job is to highlight all of the labels that we want to use, these two columns, copy and paste those into the lookups table. Next job is to take each of the labels, so the first one is application status, go to data, data validation, allow a list. The source of the data is this data here, so you copy all of the labels against all of the application statuses, press return on your keyboard, click OK. Then you'll see that you have all of the choices for the application status in one cell. Copy that cell into the system value cell and then just drag it down so that you've got one for each of the application status cells that you need to change. So first of all, you'll see here the system count tells you how many of these labels are used and how many are missing, so that gives you some sort of sense of priority if you're pushed for time. So first of all, let's have a look. Let's do this label here. So this local label is GTD, which I know means granted, which in the framework language means that there's been a decision, so it's decided. That's refused, so once again that's a decision, so it's decided. Permitted development, once again that's decided. Withdrawn, there's a label for that, and so on. That's a decision. Not determined. That's a non-determination appeal. Permission refused. That's a decision. And so on until all of your labels are completed. So we'll just do another one just so that we get used to this process. Next one after status is application type. So I'll go over to application type, data validation, change any value to a list, click on source and then just highlight all of the application type options there. Just return on your keyboard. That's OK. And you'll see that you've got all the application type options there. Copy the cell over to your application type missing column. Drag it down so you've got one for all of your application type options here. And then you can start making your changes again. So that's a full application. Just find the option there. And so on. So you can just go down and create the right label. Your labels here. It's an advert. And so on. So you've completed all of the different labels. And you can see where most of the work needs to be done. So once we've done all of these master lookups, we now then need to issue the development category labels, and it's a similar task, but we'll just go through it because it's worth doing, just remembering. So first of all, let's just get rid of all the things that we copied from the master lookups. Go into the master development codes, and it's these two columns here that we want. So these are all the development code labels that we're going to change from your system into the framework standard labels. So just scroll down, find the development categories labels that we want, paste our codes in, and just slightly differently to before, we'll actually create the drop down list over here. So it's development category, go to data validation, allow list, and it's these numbers here that we want. Just highlight all of those. Return on your keyboard. OK. And you'll see you've got your drop down list there. So just drag that down into all of your different codes. And then you can start making your labels. So that's a 21. Scroll down. 21. Q26 here. Now Q26 is a label that councils tend to lump lots of different stuff into. I know that this is a Q26 and the label is a CLUP. So that's a certificate. Now because that hasn't got a regular Q code, we've made up some additional codes for the framework, and I know that that one is an R31, and so on and so on. That's a Q13. Some of the Q codes have been lumped together by the government, so small scale and large scale major development are now all lumped together in one Q code. So for example here, what used to be a Q7 is now labelled as a Q1B, and so on until all of your labels are completed. And once again, once you finish that stage, just delete all of this information over here because you don't need it anymore, it doesn't need to be submitted. And then just the last job is just to go into all of your data labels, highlight them, go into the data validation tool because you just want to clear the data validation from them. Click on clear all. OK, and that just turns the labels into normal text. Right, now you're ready to save and resubmit the file. So file, save as. You want to call it exactly the same name as you did before, the short name that you've been given for your council. Say that already exists. Yes, I want to replace it. And now I can insert that into an email and resubmit it back to the submit@qualityframework.net. Okay, thank you. That's the end of this screencast. If you have any questions, you can email me at martin.hutchins@local.gov.uk, or better still, why not go on to the qualityframework.net discussion forum and ask questions on there. Thanks very much.